Welcome to the Ride of My Life podcast. I'm Caroline Rena, and I'll be sharing with you what it's like as I go out on the road while working through the emotions and challenges that go along with it. As I develop my knowledge and awareness, I hope to connect with you on this journey. Here we are.
Awesome.
Hey everyone, I'm Caroline Rena, and welcome to the Ride of My Life podcast. And this is actually going to be an interesting opportunity here. I think I've got an amazing guest, and this is the start of, I guess, what I can call my interview edition of the Ride of My Life podcast, because I do a lot of I do my own thing, but this is the first interview I'm doing, which I guess is an aptly named name. And today I am interviewing Vince Bellitto. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Yes. Okay. And Vince, I'm going to do a real quick read on who you are.
Sure.
Vince is a trauma-informed performance coach using what he calls inner coaching. He specializes in areas of addiction, trauma, mental and emotional freedom, shadow integration, communication, and relationship coaching for couples, parents, and children. And based off of the questions I'm going to ask you anyway, you can go more into detail about what that is.
Sure.
But what I find is interesting for my end of this is, as part of my journey through this ride of my life that I'm taking, it feels like there's going to be like a kind of give and take here. So
Absolutely.
I guess I can be ready for that one. So, why don't we get started? Was there anything you wanted to say before I started asking the questions, or?
First, just acknowledging you for what you're up to. I love the title, The Ride of My Life. I love that it's a great platform for you to share. You have a plethora of experience from what I've learned just in our, few times of connecting, but, you've got a lot to share. You're very passionate about helping others. You're going to be on an adventure. I commend you for the courage that it takes to really just pick up and go into unknown territory. I mean, it's just a real role model, an example for humanity of what's possible. And especially for women too, like you're really just picking up and going. It really displays a power and a confident woman. And I'm just really excited to see what you continue to create and share. So I'm happy to be here. And yes, it will be mutually beneficial, this conversation, I'm sure. So
yes, thank you so much, Vince. Whew. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll start. I'll ask the first question. Easy. What is it that you do?
Easy. Well, I think it starts with who I am. What I do is a reflection of who I am, what I've realized myself to be. And what I've realized myself to be is something that I've realized all people essentially are. We all are, in my experience and my discovery, at our core, this beautiful awareness. It's pure, it's untainted, unbiased, it's beyond the limits of the mind and the body experience. It is the viewer, the observer, and it is a presence that is everywhere in all things. And that becomes, and because of that experience, that direct encounter with that over 20 something years ago, I became passionate to lead other people into an encounter with this for themselves, hence the name of my flagship program, The Core Encounter. I am really interested in helping people get past the limits of mind, emotion, and the experiences in the body, and really experience the freedom they are as pure awareness, as this wonderful, innocent, vibrantly alive core. No one is really bad or problematic inherently. These are things that develop in the body-mind structures, and there are certain patterns and conditions that develop for various reasons. And I've become very educated in this realm of understanding the psychology and the emotional conditioning and somatic conditioning that takes place as we're growing up, even prenatally in the womb. There's a lot of different things that occur that can be picked up or discovered in working with people a certain way. And we can really detangle or decode the mystery of how I wound up being the way that I am. And so my work essentially helps people discover these things for themselves, realize what's going on under the scenes, realizing that everyone's working perfectly all the time, And doesn't matter what it is that's showing up, even the problems that we have, there's a logical cause behind every irrational behavior or manifestation when we look. And so my specialty is really helping people take a look at those components and transforming them, going beyond the limitations they find therein.
Yeah, and that happens. Limitations is very challenging, especially like I'll use myself as an example. I mean, that's probably the whole point anyway of what I'm doing here.
Yeah,
Is like I've experienced trauma as long as, like you were mentioning, before birth, in utero. So my mother had her mental emotional issues while I was in utero. Where I was going to go with this, where it's like you're talking about the awareness, like I'm fully aware of the things that are going on. But what challenged me for many, many years was the fact that my body reacted even within the awareness. And it was so insane because I'm like, I know what's happening. I know I can see everything that's going on and my body's going, and that's some of the traumatic, the body actually responds with, which is some of the stuff that I work with, which is the stress response. And I'm going into working with another friend of mine on retained moral reflex, which is basically, as a baby, we have this moral reflex where you've seen babies kind of jump back or whatever. And if it sticks, it's there, and until we do what we need to do to release that physically, which are involve exercises, which is what I'm doing right now. So it's kind of interesting that we're having this conversation because trauma is, like, for me, the main component with the experiences in my body that you just mentioned, and so being the observer and watching things that are going on with awareness at the same time as having these things happen in my body, it's like calming that nervous system down because it's so dysregulated, and being able to here's the kicker, being able to use the mind body to do that healing work. And that's what it feels like to me is what you do with people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Basically helping people, reconfigure the mind-body system.
Right.
They always are. That's not who we are. We mostly identify mistakenly with the mind-body, and it demands a lot of attention, especially when it's agitated from traumatic experiences. We can experience anxiety. The body's going through these things. It's like, why? I don't understand. And it's very discomforting. And it just calls a lot of our attention. But the good news is, ultimately, that's not the limit of who we are. It's just an experience that's happening in the mind body. And through awareness and leading someone to become aware, and becoming aware is not just noticing it like as an observation only. It's about really welcoming in the deeper aspects of it. And that's where we go beyond just awareness. Like you said, I was aware of it, but that doesn't mean it's going to create a healing or a transformation. The healing and transformation comes by releasing the internal resistance to what is happening, or dealing with the internal conflicting forces. And there's many factors that go into creating conflicts in the mind, conflicts in the emotion, conflicts between the mind and the emotions, or conflict between the emotions and the mind, and conflicts in the body at the feeling level. Let's call it somatics, right? What is felt or experienced in the body. Right. And so by helping a human being navigate these experiences, the conflicts, opening up to them, showing compassion, bringing a sense of care, we're actually regulating the nervous system. There's a lot of science behind what I do. My clients may or may not learn that or know that from me, but because what's important is that they get the experience. But we're dealing with neurology and biochemistry. And there's just a certain way that if a human being learns how to relate to their own mind, their own emotions, and their own somatics, and the effort impulses that are present, that relationship that can be built can create a circulation that provides dissolving power to the resistance, to the conflicting forces. So I might have a part of me that loves myself and a part of me that hates myself, right? I might be like, I'm great, I'm amazing, but another part of me deep down feels inferior, insecure. These unconscious components are the ones that I'm deeply interested in helping people become aware of, because as we bring them out of the unconscious memory and we make them available to awareness, they lose their reactive force. Yeah. And that's how we dissipate all that uncontrollable stuff that, like you were mentioning, that you feel in the body, that you can observe and you're like, but I don't know why it's happening. It's just
Well, how
not
do
yet
you,
in conscious memory.
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, it's funny because, or interesting, because I've noticed that I used to be afraid, deathly afraid of going into that deep, deep truth, to
Sure.
find that deep truth, because I didn't know what was in there. I was afraid I'd come out and start raging at people and, you know, whatever. And I never did that. What happened was I went in and allowed my feelings, mostly sadness, because what I've discovered is that women kind of gravitate towards sadness and men kind of gravitate towards anger. But women hold anger, at least I did. I held a lot of anger inside, which created that, was part of that sadness. And so I had to release that. But the body resistance, like, I want to get an idea here of maybe how you, what kind of coaching this is to release that body resistance, to be able to become conscious of what's going on and not just be stuck in that trauma, because the trauma like literally runs life. It ran my life. Sometimes it still does, not as much because I can pick up on it, but whatever you're doing that can help bring that into the awareness in order for the energy to just kind of, and the resistance to let go. That's what it feels like it would be doing for people, you know?
Absolutely. You know, what I want to say about that is really great. I'm so glad you're focusing in on this, because the way I started doing things years ago, when I started working very intimately with trauma and traumatic memories and experiences within myself, really about 22 years ago, was very crude and very overwhelming and consuming. So I know how to do it in a way that it still was ultimately in the long run effective, but it's
Temper
very
tantrum.
messy. Yeah, very messy, very noisy, very dramatic, and and it's unnecessary is what I found. And it's like, you know, I'm in the last few years, what I've learned is first and foremost, and I'll give you the kind of the scientific approach here that we're taking. But number one, the first thing we're doing is helping a person regulate their own nervous system and experience themselves as awareness, and generating that experience of safety, compassion, and love before we look at any traumatic events or anything going on. So, and what's great about this is it doesn't take very long. I typically, on average, with a client, will have a client experience that sense of safety and love within themselves within a few minutes. It only takes a few minutes to get them there using the method that I've come into over all these years of doing this work. Once we're in that space, we're in the center of being at that point. We are who we are at our core. And so instead of going into the traumatic stuff and into the traumatic, like trying to dive in as awareness, we're actually bringing into awareness those things. So what we're doing is, instead of going as a being of awareness into the memories, which are painful and can be very tumultuous, like stormy ocean seas, right? We're actually bringing those events into view to the space of the love and the compassion. So what happens is we're operating in a space of safety, love, care, strength, personal power. And then we're starting to bring in the conflicting experiences into this space. So what happens is they're being transformed. They're starting to come into alignment with this central axis of power and resilience and safety. And so that they give way. And this love and this compassion that's present starts to apply or provide what wasn't given during those traumatic events or those hurtful situations. And so there's this balancing that takes place. Traumatic events are just, can be defined in a lot of different ways, but one thing we could say is too much happening too fast, too soon, basically. It's overwhelming. We don't have a chance to mentally and emotionally categorize, organize that information.
Well, we can't.
It's an overload.
We
don't have the resources.
Most of the time. Yes, exactly. As children, we don't even understand how to do that yet. I mean, most kids don't understand it until they're 26, when the frontal lobe has been completely.
And we all have varying degrees of tolerance of how much information and experience we can take in, and pain. And that's varying for different people. But when it gets beyond the tolerance zone of whatever that person's tolerance band actually is, and that tolerance band kind of can fluctuate a little bit depending on the state of mind and emotion at that time.
And age.
When it goes outside of the tolerance band, age can have a lot to do with it, but it's not the sole determining factor, because there's more mature children than others, depending on.
Well, no, I mean, what I was thinking when you said that was like, it was okay for a while for me. Then it was not. Then the older I got, it got harder for me. I noticed.
Right. So in other words, your tolerance band can get lower as you get older.
Exactly.
Really,
Exactly.
because of the compounding of the wounds.
Yes.
And there's a chain link of mental, emotional, and
like the
somatic
complex
conditioning.
PTSD thing that I generally talk about. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So like one event in the present moment can trigger 25 previous events that have been unprocessed. And all of a sudden it's like, so your tolerance level goes down.
That's the one.
But we increase tolerance. So this is a good thing to discuss in trauma therapy. What, we're working on here is increasing the tolerance capacity by generating this space of safety. And like we were saying, when the information comes in, it's too much, too fast, too soon. It's overwhelming. I can't organize this. I don't know how this fits into my life. I don't know how to respond. I want to fight, but I'm afraid. So I don't exercise my fight response. I want to flee, but I'm trapped in this home. I can't leave. I don't know where to go. So I can't exercise the flee response. So I'm like stuck. I'm in a freeze kind of pattern. Right. And that's where we start to record in memory this powerlessness, the sense of helplessness, because that's what that is. It's like I'm frozen. I can't do anything.
Yes.
I'm ineffective in this situation.
I know that intimately. Yes.
I'm sure you do. And you've shared some things. And so now we want to start to welcome those experiences into this gentle presence of awareness that we realize ourselves to be. And it's, you've heard the term reparenting, I'm sure. It's like really just being so gentle. Most people have a very fixed and rigid set of mental conditions and judgments and evaluations about how they should and they shouldn't be. And that's a big part of what I help people overcome very quickly. This is a non-judgment space. This is a space of everything's welcome. Your lust, your greed, your anger, your sadness, the part of you that's critical, the part of you that's wanting to protect and defend, the part of you that hates somebody. We make everything acceptable. And by making it all acceptable, everything starts to resolve into this loving center. It's the resistance to things about ourselves, others, of the world that is the source of our troubles.
I think, doesn't that also come through the unknown, or like all we know is what we perceived in our lives? And when something else comes in like that, like something we don't know, or a person we don't understand, a certain culture or whatever, it triggers something because all we've seen is this particular thing in front of our face.
That's
so we're
really
kind of glued into that, that understanding.
Yeah, the brain, again, that goes back to, we could fit that in the category of tolerance level. Right. Our ability to tolerate new and unusual information, which is another thing that could be challenging. If this is too far outside of what I am comfortable with, what I know how to organize and process, then it could be shocking to me. It could be hurtful for me. And I might react and try to fight it off or push it away or run away. Like there's different responses to that. But it all has to do with how flexible we are, how flexible our brain and our nervous system is. I think what I do could be called yoga of the mind, emotions, and somatics, right? It's an internal expansion and, more flexibility. It's like, oh, you know what? This person yelled at me and it's okay. I can organize that. And I understand that. Like I have compassion for them. I have love for them. Like, I'm not unconsciously
regulated
perceiving.
Person. That's being regulated.
It is. And that regulation refers to the harmonizing, operation of sympathetic and parasympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system, basically.
Yes. Yep. I totally get that. I love this. Well, before you I know we were talking about kind of doing a little process with me. I don't know how soon we need to do that, but I want to know how you got into it, because not everybody knows. I mean, the people who follow you know your story, but the people who follow me do not. So I'd like for you to share that, because it's so powerful. I was so grateful to hear that. Or it was, I don't know, it touched my heart. So if you could share some of your story, that would be awesome.
Yeah, thank you for that. There's many ways I guess I could say it, but I guess I'd like to start at the point of the point where my transformation really began. It was a really critical point. In 1999, I was driving my vehicle on my way to buy more cocaine with some friends of mine. We were getting high for a couple of days, not that bad. This is our second day up, no sleep, cocaine, drinking, alcohol, other drugs that we were mixing in, LSD, a little bit of everything.
Wow.
We'd mix it all. It was weird cocktails of what we did. I'm behind the wheel. I'm turning at this intersection. I just turned the intersection and it's lights out for me. I had been having these micro seizures that were affecting me as we were going down the elevator to get to the car. And something was happening and I didn't realize at that point, but it took me out. My friend, the car stalled as a stick shift pulled me over. I pulled the wheel over to the grass, and he dragged me out of the car, is what they told me. And as I was laying there on the ground, a woman saw me that was driving by, and she stopped to help. She checked my pulse, and she realized I didn't have a pulse. And she said so. And my friend who was with me, my friend Jerry, he just remembered CPR from our health class back in middle school. And he just jumped on me and started hitting me with CPR and probably saved my life. The medics then showed up, and my heart did kick back in. So I had no heartbeat for a minute or two. And I woke up confused and dazed, not knowing what was going on. This was a violation of probation for me. I was not supposed to be using drugs. I was court ordered to be in a recovery program, which I was, but I was still using anyway. And I got locked up in a bed in the hospital with handcuffs. And as I was sitting there, I just decided to change my life. I was like, I can't live this way anymore. I'm not going to survive. Like, this is where it's going. And this wasn't the first time that I almost died from an overdose of drugs or some other means. I've had guns pulled on me. We've been in a lot of violent situations because I was living a life of crime as well. And so I just knew I needed to shift. And that day was a real pivotal point for me. And I pretty much gave up the drugs almost overnight. I smoked a little bit, drank a little bit of alcohol still, but even that was getting progressively not so comfortable. I started losing my taste for it. I couldn't use cocaine because I used it 3 times after that. And every time I did cocaine, it was painful. It didn't feel good at all. There was no pleasure. So I was like, man, it just got worse and worse. I'm really lucky. And that's it. I began searching.
You were really meant to be here.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. And I take that as a gracious gift that, like not everybody loses the taste for drugs, something in me died to it. And it was like, I tried using it and it just wasn't working. So I began searching for answers. I cut off all my relationships. I think that was the big important factor. I stopped hanging out with the people that I was doing all those things with. So I just, because those patterns are there. I spent a lot of time in nature. I learned how to meditate from a book that I found in the library. I started reading other books on spirituality. I was like confused. I didn't have a lot of experiences about this spiritual stuff. And I was at a place in my life where I didn't trust anyone or anything. And I just said, I need to have experiences for myself. They could talk about God or talk about spiritual experiences or oneness with nature. And I heard about all this stuff. I'm like, I need to know this for myself. I want to feel this. I want to see this.
Yes.
And within less than a year, I had a profound awakening where all my being was filled with light. I was suddenly staring at the very center of my own existence. That's the only way I could put it. My vision was inverted internally. I was just staring right at my core. And it was brilliance. I fell to my knees. I said the word Jesus Christ, and I'm anti-Christian at this point prior to this moment. And I didn't see a man, but I felt this like realization of Jesus as like this all pervasive, unconditional love that failed no one. And I just understood this. And I wasn't in church. I wasn't studying the Bible. I was actually against all such ideas prior. I would study other religions and other spiritual paradigms, but not Christianity. And so that was kind of a shock to me, but I was seeking truth. But the Jesus I got was not the typical thing you hear about in Sunday school or in church. It was this beingness that was me. And it was like, I can't explain it any other way. It was just like, I said Jesus Christ, but that Jesus Christ was the center of my own existence. It was a realization of aliveness and of cosmic proportions. And my mind was blown, obviously. Like, this was night and day experience from where I was to this moment. And it was just a miracle. I was hoping to experience something like this. I was intentional about seeking the truth. I was questioning. I wanted to know for myself if God was real and what that means. And I didn't want to hear it from other people's mouths. I wanted to know for myself. So that got me really intrigued with that experience, that part of being and potentiality. And then I just wanted to figure out how to help people experience this for themselves. And the last 20 years has just been a mission to learn ways to lead people to a discovery of this on their, because like me, I want them to experience it. I don't want to teach people anything. I don't believe in concepts, traditions, or dogmas. I don't really, not valuable to me. What people can experience immediately in their own being, in their own body, that's what becomes real for them more than anything else. So that's what I do. I'm in coaching for that purpose. I help people ultimately self-realize and know who they are. And that also includes resolving problems of the past and trauma. And all. That's all just part of the toolbox of me saying, hey, I want to see people living from the center of existence that they truly are.
And it's so incredible. I mean, for starters, let me just say that like your story, and I've heard many stories like this that are so incredible that it's like you go from complete, you know, bust. Like I used to say, you're this far off the ground, there's only one way, one direction you can go, and that's up. But it's just so incredible how there's these opportunities if we're present in that space to connect with that, whatever that is. I mean, however people look at, you know, an avatar or a guru, not a guru. I don't want to use the word guru because I usually say that we are our own gurus. We don't need to be, somebody else does not, just like you were saying, you want to just bring that to people. You want people to experience it in their own way, in essence. And just having that story to be able to tell to people, because it gives it, it's very inspiring. It's very connective, because especially, you know, I mean, there's so many people who are going through all types of addictions. I think we all go through things like that in different variations and, you know, different things. But, you know, pulling yourself out of that, seeing that opportunity and taking it, you know, and using your life to connect with who you are, the truth of who you are, and bring it out to people and let them see that, and experiencing it through you actually gives people permission to do that for themselves. And it happens all the time. And I remember there was one story I told about, I forget the guy's name. It was back in the 50s, I think. The guy who broke the 100-mile the 100-meter dash or whatever it was, he did it in like 4.8 seconds, and no one had ever done that before. It's like that person giving everybody else, and then immediately after he did it, all these people started breaking the, you know, the thing. So it literally gives other people an opportunity to go, hey, all right, and if they can do that, why can't I? And I try to imply a lot where, you know, if I can get through the crap that I've been through, I'm pretty sure that you're going to be able to do it too. It's just a matter of getting in there, making a decision, you know, or a choice to do this, and really digging deep. And I know how deep I've dug, and it sounds like you've dug pretty deep too. That's the key, because the further inside you go, the answers aren't outside. Further inside you go, the more you find who you really are and what your purpose is. I don't really like that, but what your purpose is for being here in connecting with others and helping them like you're doing. And that is so incredible to me. That's why I just get excited about this kind of stuff. So,
yeah, thank you.
So
sharing transformation is essential for it to expand.
Yeah.
You know, helping others go beyond limits. Transformation is going beyond the limits that we encounter, that we are, you know, bound by.
Yeah.
And as we help others expand, you know, their horizons, so to speak, our horizons expand. I mean, my clients give so much back to me besides paying me for my services. It's just the being that I get to be with them, who I get to be as one in service to another. I love who I get to be. I expand. I look at myself, I hear the things I speak and the things I'm communicating in relationship. It's just like, wow, like I'm learning. I'm the one saying certain things, but I'm listening to myself as if I'm being taught through my own mouth and my own communication or my own practice. And so it's very humbling. I'm like, wow. And I'm grateful for the experience, but yeah, there's just something beautiful about our interrelatedness. Yeah. And what can happen when we come together with a certain intention.
And speaking of which, because we've talked about this, and I don't know what you're going to do, but we talked about you doing some sort of an exercise with me.
Yes.
So I'm interested in that communication here to see where this is going to go.
Yes.
And then I have a couple more things I just wanted to ask you when we were done, if I'm still capable of doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure you will be. But I think that's great. And Caroline, thank you. I really want to give you a demo, and whoever's viewing and listening also a demo, so that they can participate. So I'll be working with you, but whoever's watching or listening, you can listen for yourself, listen for your own life, listen for your own challenges, and let this guidance that I'm providing with Caroline also apply to you. So you can actually listen as if this is being done for you. And Caroline, I'm going to have you share with me something that maybe you specifically want to take a look at or work on, something that's been not handled fully for you, something that you still have that's a mystery to you, like, or maybe something that's unresolved.
Well, The specifics of I've had a lot of trauma in my life from birth on, and the specifics of the trauma is starting to kind of just like, I don't focus on that so much anymore. Now I'm kind of focused on my body's reactions to those traumas that seem or feel like they're stuck. That was the only word I could ever use, was stuck in there, because like I would literally have a logical conversation with somebody, and I get a phone call. Recently, I got a phone call from my insurance company telling me that my insurance was $100 more than it was supposed to be. And I couldn't immediately, I went into fight or flight. The stress response was like, bam. But I was watching myself when that happened. My body was the one that was reacting. I had someone there supporting me, energetically supporting me during this thing, reminding me to breathe, doing the stuff to stay calm and wait for the information to come before I totally lost it. But the challenge was, as I was observing myself, I'm like, but my body, it just doesn't want to stop. It just wants to get up, and I want to run, and I want to do. And that's where I keep tending to go back to, is that body response, that it resists anything that is off kilter, where I don't have control over a situation and I can't find that answer immediately. It has to be there immediately. And if it's not, being able to sit with it, and I do, but something that crucial in that moment, sometimes I can't sit with it. I tend to go off into that body response. So that's the most recent thing. That's kind of where I'm working in right now, is that body response, whatever's been stuck in there for so long. And that's kind of what I've got happening at this point.
Perfect. So I got it. So thank you for that. And, anyone who's listening who has any kind of reaction to things in life that you don't seem to be able to control, that just seems to show up, in the body, maybe it's nervousness, anxiousness, fear, anger, frustration, anything like that would be something you can really bring to this demonstration that I'm going to do with you, Caroline. They can actually use this for themselves as well. And the first thing I'll say is, those reactions that you mentioned, the franticness it's an attempt to avoid, obviously, some pain that's there, something that's been stirred up. And there's all these behaviors that flow from trying to escape, trying to protect, trying to distract, trying to whatever we got to do to avoid feeling the core wound. So I think it's important that we understand that, the core wound is the very bottom or foundational point of these reactive forces. There's a wound, number one. There's pain in the body, in the emotional being also. And around that wound, we develop what's called core fears, which is this anticipation of the wound getting, hurt again, itself, or develop it, or getting that same pain from another situation in the future. We are afraid now that this might happen again, because the wound actually tells us it's possible. Then around the core fear, we develop something called core beliefs. I am or I am not something. I am helpless, or I am not strong, right? People are dangerous, or people are not safe. The world is threatening, or the world is not safe. We just develop these convictions, these little codes that tell us how to perceive. And they're all connected, tied into that core wound. And so what we're targeting ultimately is the core wound. Now, the last thing that we have to know about that gets in the way is what I call the masks. Our masks are the ways that we pretend that we got it all handled. We pretend to be strong. We pretend to be organized and sophisticated. We pretend to be perfect. We pretend to be fun and creative and enthusiastic and adventurous. We pretend all these things. And I say pretend because they're not authentic, and because they are efforts to escape the wounding. They're a running away from some part of ourself. And so, bringing attention to that, helping to compassionately view these things, not with judgment or make wrong, but just like, hey, but we have to be aware that these things that are controlling our lives are really, or that we pretend are ourselves, I should say, are really controlling our lives. It's almost like we're a slave to, and we pretend that we're free. We pretend that we've got something going on. I pretend that I was tough and I was strong, but really I felt deeply inadequate and insecure.
Can I throw something in here though? What's hitting me right now is that maybe some people think that they made the choice to be that way. That's not, to me, to put the mask on.
Yes.
In most cases, it's not a choice. It's just something that we do as human beings to protect ourselves.
Yes. Okay. So this is really good to break down. So I will say that everything ultimately is choice or self-determined. It just happens so quickly sometimes with
Subconscious.
very limited, it happens consciously, but just with
Conscious.
very limited data.
Okay.
Like we make a decision to be tough or to be, the life of the party, this comical guy, like whatever it is, these things that may seem very positive and they're not bad or not wrong. They're reactions to a pain and an effort to avoid this pain. And it's not that it's a bad thing or wrong thing, but it is a thing that we must be this thing. I don't
Mhm.
really have freedom not to be. It's the only way I can be. It becomes a limiting, narrow path of expression for myself. So we want to give more opportunity to people. So anyway, what we're going to do is we'll do a little process to give you some guidance. And I just wanted people to know what we're looking for.
Mhm.
And we start by creating that centered safety and security that I mentioned. So you ready?
I think so.
And even
No,
if you're not, that's okay. Just notice
that's
that
part of
too.
this. That's why I aptly, there's that word again. I named this the ride of my life for a reason, and here's
Yes,
part of it.
this is
This
great.
is part of it.
Good. So the first thing we'll do is begin to you can close your eyes. You can keep your eyes open if you're watching this too. It doesn't matter. I like to close my eyes a lot of the time, but it's okay to have eyes open if you feel safer. But to just feel into the body, just start to get present to the body, bringing attention to the head, particularly the crown, the top of your head, and just notice that space right there above the top of your head. We're just starting to bring attention to the various parts of the body to help relax them and just to make sure we're tuned in. A lot of times we're very focused on things outside of ourselves, outside of the body. The more bodily awareness we have, the more we can begin to welcome the unconscious functions in the body. And that can give us relief from those automatic behaviors that seem to trouble us. So just welcome the forehead and the eye sockets and the eyebrows. And as you welcome these parts of the body, gently soften or relax these parts, letting the muscles just be. You may notice that you have tension in various places as we start to scan, and just so allow them to soften gently. The cheeks, the jaw, around the mouth, the nose, just allowing the face to like melt almost with gravity, not holding any tension in the face at all. By releasing tension in the body, we start to relax the fight or flight response. We start to bring the brain waves from beta to down to alpha. We want to relax the nervous system by relaxing the muscles, not engaging them. So relax the neck and the throat, softening and just allowing them to be. Letting go of any tension in the shoulders, around the neck there. Letting the arms melt down by your sides or on your lap, the forearms and the wrists and fingers and hands, just softening. The idea here is to just let the body let go. Let go of the chest and the upper back, the solar plexus and the middle back, your stomach and your lower back, the sides, the rib cage, just loosening any muscle tension there. Allowing the hips to soften, the groin, sitting in the seat that you're on, just being with the body fully here, letting gravity just take over. Let the thighs and the hamstrings relax, the knees, the shins, the calves, the ankles, feet, and toes. Letting the whole body just soften and just be here. Just allowing the body to be seen, to be felt as it is. And just for now, knowing there's nothing to change, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to fix, because really there's nothing wrong with you. There's just what's happening. And we're just going to observe what's happening and start to bring into awareness the more subtle happenings that are typically out of awareness. And in doing so, we're going to begin to integrate the unconscious. And we do this from a place of safety. And that safety will be felt in the center of your chest, in your heart. And just notice that space. Start to feel into the heart center. Maybe you can even be aware of the heartbeat. And pay attention to the breathing that's coming into the lungs Just observing the air coming in through the nose and out through the nose. Good. Feeling into the breath, feeling into the heartbeat as best you can. There's no wrong way to do anything here in this process. I'm going to relax the body a little bit more by consciously breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's take a really big breath now, in through the nose, and hold the breath at the top. Let's hold this breath with minimal effort by relaxing the neck, the shoulders, the chest, the arms, the belly, and swallow the saliva as you're relaxed. Keep holding the breath gently. Feel into the center of your being. Make your lips into a tiny pinhole and gently release the air. Relaxing even more as you slowly exhale, just starting to rest the body. Feel that sense of safety and calm, and just allow that calm and that safety to be here. Notice it, welcome it, and be it. Be this beautiful, present awareness, the calm, the serenity. Just notice the quality of the experience you're having in the body right now. Paying attention to the space within the heart, right at the center of your chest. And let's explore the space expanding down from the heart to the solar plexus. Just feeling into the space in the solar plexus inside the torso. Feeling the space expanding down to the lower abdomen. And feeling the space as best you can, opening and expanding down through the hips and the groin. And just allow space to be here. And we're going to let the space expand from the heart up into the upper chest, allowing that space to open up into the throat. Just allowing more space inside the throat and neck. Just feeling that space expanding and opening and relaxing the muscles more around it, releasing any tension. And allowing the space to move all the way up to the brain, noticing the space containing the brain. Just sense it, be aware of it, and just allow it. And just notice the spaciousness that's being created. Let's explore the space beyond the body, just above the head. Just being aware of the space right at the top of the crown. Now moving to the left side of your face, noticing the space just outside the left side of your face. Noticing the space to the front of your face, in front of your forehead, in front of your nose. Just become aware of that space. And shifting to the space just to the right of your face. Noticing that space that's right there, just outside of the boundary of your face on the right. And now becoming aware of the space at the back of the head, just behind the skull. Just tune into that space. Sense it, feel it, be aware of it. Good. Let's notice the space surrounding the neck and the throat, at the front of the throat, to the left of it, to the right of it, and behind the neck. Just becoming aware of that space surrounding your neck. Relaxing the body even more. Good. Let's notice now the space in front of the chest, just in front of the heart. And just feel that little area right in front of your chest. Shifting awareness now to the left side of the rib cage, the space just there underneath your armpit, to the left of the ribs. Noticing the space behind you, behind the center of your back. Just welcoming that space, allowing it to open up. And noticing the space to the right side of your rib cage. Just allowing that to expand a little more. Your awareness is attuned to the space. And let's notice the space below your body. Just become aware that there is space beneath you. Just open up to that. Allow it to be here. By becoming aware of the space around the body and within the body, you may notice that you're able to relax a little more. There's a sense of expansion. It allows the nervous system to calm down, to regulate. Let's tune into the breath again. Just feeling into the breath coming in through the nose and out through the nose. And just observe it. Noticing that space right between the exhale and the inhale. There's a little pause. Just take note of that. And also notice as you breathe in through the nose, there's a little pause at the top of the breath, a little space there before you exhale. Notice that as well. And at some point, you may feel the need to swallow. And just observe that swallow reflex. Maybe feel the saliva running down to the belly. By bringing attention to these typically unconscious processes, like the breath, the beating of the heart, the swallowing, we begin to tune into the subconscious, the autonomic nervous system. And let's just welcome a sense of safety as best you can. There's no wrong way to do this. What does it feel like to be safe in the heart? To be safe in the body? To feel calm? To feel relaxed? And to simply let go? And part of being free of the reactivity of the body is learning to let go of the body, to just let it be here, and to release any effort to change, fix, or control the body. Notice if there is any effort to change, fix, or control what's happening in the body, and just welcome that sense of effort. Just notice it. And see if you can also let this go. Just release any need to do anything about the body whatsoever. Can you just let the body be here? Allow it to be just as it is. Just allowing whatever feelings and sensations arise. Making room for them. Allowing them into awareness. But as awareness, noticing that they do not disturb the awareness. They just happen inside of awareness. And just for now, can you notice whether you are the body and the sensations of the body? Or are you that which is aware of it? Are you the emotions that you feel and experience in the body? Are you the anger, the sadness, frustration, grief, the depression? Or are you the one that is aware that that's happening? By realizing yourself to be awareness, that you are awareness, you realize the space-like quality that awareness is. And the more you identify as awareness, and the less you identify as a body and as a mind, the more freedom you'll experience. The more you'll be able to allow the mind and the body to just be. And it won't disturb you because you, as awareness, cannot be disturbed. The camera takes in all information. It does not have an opinion about it. It isn't in judgment of anything. It just records, or it allows in everything and records everything as it is shown. So just being this awareness now, noticing the body mind, just observing the thoughts that may be there for you, and checking also as an experiment, are you those thoughts? Is that who you are? Or are the thoughts happening inside of the awareness that you are? Just take a look and see. Are you thinking? Or are you the observer of the thinking? And just explore being the observer of thoughts. Not doing anything with the thoughts, not changing them, not stopping them, not trying to alter them in any way right now. But just for now, can you witness the thinking? Whatever's happening in mind. And just allow it all to be. The less you try to control, change, or fix the mind, emotions, body, or efforts, the more they begin to relax. And the less control they will appear to have. They will stop being what they are. They'll start to calm down. It's like splashing around inside of a small pool, making a bunch of waves. The more you move in the pool, the more you play with the water, the more the waves get stirred up. But if you jump out of the pool and you just observe it, you'll notice that the waves will eventually subside and the water will be calm and eventually perfectly flat, and it will reflect everything in its surface without a ripple, exactly as it is seen. This is the metaphor I like to use for realizing yourself as awareness. You simply step out of the pool. You stop playing in the mind, you stop playing in the emotions, and you stop playing around with the body's feelings and sensations, and you just observe them. You just allow them to be here. And you'll notice that all the turmoil that was there will start to relax. The waves will start to get smaller and smaller, and everything will begin to appear as calm, perfect flatness. The less you disturb the body-mind, the less disturbance there will be in the body-mind. And the only way to not disturb the body-mind is to abide as awareness. So just notice. And from this place of awareness, we can now welcome in the compassion and the love that are part of being. Self-realization, self-affirmation, self-existence. I am that I am. You can realize this beautiful core that doesn't require anything of you or from you as you think of yourself. You are this existing one. You are that you are. And there's nothing that you need to do to be what you are. And just for now, can you experience this as best you can? This very center of being, the I am that I am, this self-affirming existence. And just notice it. And notice the feeling of I am. There is a feeling of existence, a feeling that I am. And that feeling is very comforting as you begin to just realize the truth that you don't have to try to be anything. That being is given. It just is that it is. And that means you are that you are. Now, from this place of awareness and pure being, let's take a look at something that was maybe a disturbance in the body-mind. Something that, an event that may have happened where something was said or done to you, or something happened that you observed, and then the body went into a reaction about it. Just take a notice of it. Just notice the event, the happening, whatever may have been the trigger point, and just observe it. Just welcome all of this experience, noticing what you were experiencing in the body, what you were experiencing in thoughts, noticing the emotions, and just welcoming them, being an invitation for what the body was going through. Allowing it to be here inside of this compassion, this safety, and this love that you are at your core. And to the best of your ability, remember, there's no wrong way to do this. Can you allow that part of your body mind that was struggling, scared, hurt, confused, whatever it may have felt, can you let that part of you just be loved for what it is without trying to change it, without trying to escape it, without trying to manipulate it in some way or practice something to get rid of it? Could you just welcome the sensations of the body mind? Can you honor them for what was there? Being gentle, being compassionate. Maybe you want to tell that part of you that you love it, that it's safe here. It's okay to be the way it is. The more you allow those parts of yourself in the body and the mind to just be, the more love and compassion you're giving them. The more you try to change, fix them, alter them, get away from them, the more you just create this idea that something's wrong. So instead of making it wrong, just for now, could you welcome it? And even if there's a part of you that was resisting your experience, could you be welcoming of that too? If you were trying to get away, be gentle with that part of you. Understand it. Of course, a part of you would try to get away from that experience because it was uncomfortable. Also welcoming that effort to be relieved, to change, fix, just welcoming that with compassion and gently releasing any effort to fix yourself right now, just for this moment. And really allowing the sensations of the body, if there was fear that was present as an emotion, just welcoming that fear. Just allowing that fear to be here, to be seen, to be felt, to be heard internally by awareness that you are. And can you honor the fearful part of you? Understanding it. Maybe just saying, of course, this part would be afraid, and it's okay. And of course, the body would react from this fear with all of its activities and all the sensations. And can you just gently look upon all of that activity of the body along with the fear with love and compassion? Again, not trying to change it, just honoring it, saying, I got you. It makes perfect sense to me that you were here. Really just validating whatever was there. Good. Let's continue to welcome all these parts of your experience into awareness, into the center of safety and love and compassion. And just notice how pretty easy it is. to bring things to this place rather than going into the pain and the hurt, bringing the pain and the hurt and the confusion, the fear, bringing it here into awareness, allowing it to be resolved in whatever way that it wants to be or needs to be, simply by you loving generously this part of your experience, however uncomfortable, however painful it may have been. Can you just continue to show love as best as you can for all that you were experiencing? Even loving the parts of you that are desperately trying to get away from the pain, showing a lot of compassion to that part of you that tries to get away from it, to escape it, to fix it. And just honoring all of these parts with love. Good. Now let's take a nice breath through the nose into the belly. And then through the mouth, exhale. Big breath through the nose in. Through the mouth, exhale. Through the nose in. Even bigger breath, exhale. Biggest breath yet, all the way in through the nose and hold at the top. Hold that breath. Relax the body. Release any tension as best you can, holding the breath with minimal effort. Feel into the center of your body. Feel the heart center. Swallow the saliva. Make your lips into a pinhole. Slowly exhale. Gently release the air. This creates nitric oxide in the blood, which is a vasodilator. It means it opens up the blood vessels, capillaries, helps expand the pathways that the blood flows through, which creates ease, efficiency, de-stressing the system. Tells your body that it's calm and safe. And just take a moment to appreciate this calm, the stillness within. Just really abiding as the truth of who you are, where nothing is wrong, where no one is wrong, where all is well and good with you, as you. Good. And with that, we can be complete. You can open your eyes. And of course, Caroline, I would love to know, well, what was your experience like? What did you notice? Yeah, what would you like to share about anything that came up for you there and that you're present to now?
I've always appreciated these kinds of, I'm buzzing. Okay, so let's start there.
Let's start with that. What you're experiencing in the body. So there's a
My
buzzing.
whole body is like a buzz. Complete, just like I have no words for it. Relaxation is the closest I can get to it. I know that this gave me probably one of the best experiences of this, because it's allowing me to actually witness what life is outside of the chaos.
Got it.
And I have to say, I mean, I want to say it after we're done, after you're done asking me the questions, but yeah, I mean, my whole body, like I want to take a nap now. I don't know if I did, but I want to. I don't know if I already did, but I'd like to kind of be like this all the time. I know it's not possible, but it's like,
well, hold on. That's a belief.
Well, no. I mean, the possibility as far as being in the world, but not of it. I get that. It's just being in the world and the chaos there. I do know, I understand. I think I know what you're going to say.
It's very possible.
Still be in this space, even within that realm.
It absolutely is possible.
Yeah.
When the nervous system is regulated regularly.
Yes.
And the traumatic events have been properly integrated.
Yes.
And the reactionary forces have been properly welcomed and appeased.
Yeah.
And dissipated. then whatever's going around you doesn't find any dock with any kind of triggering component.
Yes. And it's interesting.
So you can see a lot going on. People could be yelling, screaming, fighting, and you can just be completely
like the Dalai Lama.
It's a possibility. So I just didn't want to let you be limited in that, because for most people it's not a possibility in their mind, but in actuality, when you do this work enough, the abiding peace that is the truth of who you are becomes the place from which you operate. It becomes your locus of control over every area of your life. That's, to me, that's what ultimate enlightenment would be. Not just an experience, but like a condition of regular operation.
And that's so incredible that you said that, because right before you started explaining that to everyone, I was like, I had that little, I don't know if it was an integration or a shift, but the minute you said that's a bull. It's bull. Yeah, it's a bull. It is. Okay. Because it's like, if I choose, when I choose, I can do this at any point in time. And
that's exactly it.
That felt like it just, like right when you said it, it was very odd.
And I highly recommend using this process multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
It'll keep training the brain and the nervous system in your body to relate to self in this particular way that you just were. The more you practice relating to your experiences from the place of that process, the more that will become a habit, so that you don't need me to guide you. It'll actually just become your own automatic way of dealing with everything in your life.
But until then, do you have something recorded?
Yeah. Well, we got that process right there.
This one here. Yeah.
And I have others. I have many.
Okay. That's helpful. I mean, if I feel like even with all the experiences I've had, that was like, maybe I was ready for it. I don't know what the deal was, but it was just a lot different. What I was going to share with you, I don't know if you've ever heard of Sarah Blondin. You don't know her? So she's a storyteller and videographer, and she's on Inside Timer. And what you were talking about reparenting earlier.
Yes.
And her voice, when she does her meditations and things like that, sounds like the mother that we've all wanted to have. She's got this beautiful, flowy, and it's like you just sink right in there into the arms, and it's incredible. What I want to share with you, you have to listen to her when you have a chance.
Sure.
What I want to share with you is you have that father, that voice, that okay. Soul recognition. I'm tearing up because it touched on the voice that my father was very stern and abrupt and, and having that voice that you offered gives the divine masculine version of that parent that some people don't get to hear. And I think that's why it would be really good for you, at least for people who are at the beginning of this, to share, to just do, if you have that recording, share that recording, because whoever had never got to experience my father's voice, my father's voice.
Yes, I get that.
and it just, so I have my mama now, I've got Sarah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that was, wow. I mean, that's so important, because I never had that, because both my parents were
many of us don't.
Yeah. And some that don't even have their parent, that never had their parents.
Some don't have them at all. Exactly.
Right. So that was
there's a big missing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. I had another client, she shared something similar to me about the fathering experience that she had, like as if I was the father she never had. And that was very touching and moving for me, because I had some difficulty growing up, confusion around, I had a stepdad and my dad, and both of them were not necessarily emotionally available, and were pretty tough, hard guys. And it was painful at times to be around them. And my emotions were screaming for connection, and it just wasn't present because they were already numb and shut down, or whatever they were.
Wait, yes, it was present. It wasn't present from them. It was always
That's
present.
right. Right. And the way that we operate, we crave it from out
Somebody,
there. And we're almost wired that way. It's like we're
yeah,
missing something. And
yeah.
so that leaves us feeling empty. And then we have to find out that we can give all of this to ourselves because we have all the resources we need within, which is what this processing really gives you.
Hence the reparenting, because that's kind of what
right.
I do with my clients. I hold that space for them, whether
Yes.
it's the father or the mother,
Yes.
like help either nurturing or guiding. And when they start to recognize it, then it's like, you know.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Like. And for me to experience that helps me to, you know, thank you, because that helps me to how I share, and that's how it works for everybody. When we I don't want to like the word trade, but when we share our gifts with people, it opens them up to be able to share them with other people, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's so important. And speaking of which, I'm still not here, so bear with me.
I know it's hard coming out. You want to just chill out for the next hour.
Like, we're done. I gotta go.
I know. I understand.
Yeah. So I got the last important questions that.
Oh, before you do that, I just want to point out that and ask you actually, have you downloaded my 5-day course? If you go to courses.innercoachingacademy.com, there is a 5-day course where I teach some basics, not everything that I do, but there's some basic training. And each day there's a guided process for like anywhere from like 10 to 20 minutes, maybe more like 15 to 20 minutes, I think, each day. And so you'll get an email each day with a link back to a page that has a basic training video and then a guided process, and a basic training video and a guided process. And so there's 5 days of that. And so, you know, there's a lot that you can do with those processes. You can listen to them multiple times because, you know, there's just different things to bring up in the processes, but they will provide a space for you to get a lot of work done internally and really, again, pattern that way of being with yourself. Really what I'm doing is I'm modeling for you how to be with what's there inside of you. Most of us have learned to relate into ourself, our own experience, in judgment, sometimes in condemnation, self-hatred, or into fear or whatever. Like we're reacting to our own reactions. And so we don't even know how to be with what's there. So this is a training in being with whatever's going on inside of you with love and compassion. And the more you learn how to do this, the more you practice it, it's not really a learning, it's a way of being with self. But the more you do this, the more it becomes a integral part of how you're going to handle your experience. And so I find myself handling my own experiences with my own processes as I go through life. You know, so the more I serve people, the more this is wired into me, and the more I do it for myself too, it becomes part of my everyday life. This is where it started
from. You had to experience this in order to share it, so obviously it works.
I had to experience it to break free from all the stuff that was, you know, but I had a lot of support, I've had a lot of training, I've had a lot of mentors and teachers, and I highly recommend having guides and coaches and you know, people who can really accelerate the journey. And that can be hard when you're coming from a traumatic background, to trust anyone.
Right.
That's a first step to cross. You know, it's me coming out of my life. I didn't want to trust anybody. Little by little, I began to build trust and a sense of safety that people could be helpful, people could be reliable, and not always. Sometimes they weren't, but you know, I kept opening up to that possibility, and that helped me learn how to be more reliable and to be more safe with myself. So group setting and group work is my big proponent. And by the way, tonight, if you're free, you can come to something. I'll talk to you about it afterwards, but but go ahead. That's all I want to say about that. Check out the courses.innercoachingacademy.com. Get the
courses.innercoachingacademy.com into 5-day course. I'll post that. When I post it, I'll put it up on as the link.
It's called the Core 5-Day Inner Work Accelerator Challenge.
For what? Say that again.
The Core.
Oh, the Core
5-Day Inner Work Accelerator Challenge.
Inner Work
Accelerator Challenge.
Accelerator Challenge.
Right.
It's already okay. Now my hand.
And it's an accelerator for sure. You know, it's going to speed up your ability to do the work within and to, you know, receive coaching, inner coaching from me.
Yay. Okay. And that, for other people who are hearing that, that's one of your free courses or paid courses?
It's a free course, completely free.
Okay.
It's a lot of value. I'd value it at least at $300. $297 is the price point, but I've decided to just make it a free course to let people get some basics. to give them a taste of what I do and how it works. And I just love people. I want people to get well, and this can do a lot for people. And then if they find that they want to continue doing work with me, they can explore that in other ways. So, but I think leading by generosity is the way to go. There's also a morning, evening guided process to start your day with and also close your day. That's like $11.11. It's very inexpensive, but that's there too. I recommend checking that out. It's, I don't really make a lot of money from that. That's not my goal. I just want people to have something that they can do that will get them started. My money comes from my group coaching and my one-to-one coaching, and that's or events that I would lead. So if people find this interesting and want to go further, that's group work is it. We didn't talk about that, but co-regulation in a group setting that's properly organized is a very fast way to heal from trauma. It's faster than anything really, when it's properly done.
So that's one of your other, that was one of the questions I was going to ask, one of the formats that you offer to work in the group, what did you call it? Group coaching. Yeah. But the group regulation. Oh,
co-regulation. Yeah. When you're regulating your nervous system with other human beings, it's called self-regulation is when you're doing things on your own. But self-regulation is developed in a co-regulation relationship with your typically mother, ideally, right? The mother provides a co-regulating experience for the baby, and the baby learns to regulate its own nervous system through the healthy parenting. But we don't always have that.
Blue sky.
If our mother is, struggling in life and she's pregnant with us, then she's very dysregulated. The baby is going to learn and feel and experience dysregulation. And
throughout life, it's not just the baby, because it continues until you recognize what's happening. And that's all pre-verbal stuff. And then learning.
Very, very important that you just said that, pre-verbal. So that's why a lot of like cognitive therapy or cognitive transformational training is really heady. It's really conversational only, has only so much effect, and it falls short. It doesn't deal with the emotional or somatic conditions directly. And that's where what I do, inner coaching, includes some somatic therapy, includes emotional processing, includes kind of spiritual awareness, if you want to call it that. There's a lot of other factors that I think make a more holistic approach to transformation and healing. And I'm looking to make sure that people are from body all the way up to spirit, right? Like including diet, like is your food intake
well, I was going to say,
for you?
Everything about healing is not just the mechanics of the body or the mechanics of the mind, and it's not individualized. It's emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. They all go together. Most people don't recognize that because we haven't been taught that, but it's all going to connect. They always connect somehow to something else.
And they all have an impact upon each other.
So exactly.
It's important to harmonize and synergize those different dimensions of our experience, which are really all unified as one, but they can seem, one can be very neglected. We look at the areas can be neglected, ignored, avoided, not known. There could be different problematic
intentionally
things.
or unintentionally. Sometimes we don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. How can people get in touch with you?
Oh, yeah. So the innercoachingacademy.com is the website. There's another website. There's links through that website to all my stuff. The Core Encounter is our group coaching program. We haven't put new dates on for 2022 yet, but the registration for that will open soon. The Core Encounter program is like the flagship of personal development transformation. It is 3 parts, 3 different 6-week programs. And they can all be done online right now. We're going to be opening them up in person again. But the Core Encounter is comprised of 3 components. One is core connection. That's the foundation. We start with you learning how to relate to you primarily, and in a small group setting, learn how to co-regulate your nervous system and work on your interpersonal relating skills and abilities, which helps to regulate the nervous system, and be supported and seen and validated by other people as you're beginning to discover things that have been there that are incomplete for you, unresolved pain, hurt, trauma, limitations, whatever structures in consciousness and in the body mind basically are not working for you. They start to surface there, and we start to lovingly, as a group, we team up together, and this just really makes things fast. I mean, I do really good work one-on-one, no doubt, but it's so much more efficient to be in a group setting. So that's core connection. That's level 1. We deal with that individual relationship first. Then we move into core communication, which is about a whole nother level of communication skill building, how to relate to people from your core, from an authentic place, an empowered place, how to communicate and speak and listen, basically, in ways that empower, enrich, and nourish the relationship and yourself with empathy and care throughout your dialoguing and you're connecting with people. And then the last program is core creation. People have problems in self-connecting. They have problems in connecting with others and their relationships. They also have problems achieving their goals. How do I create effectively? There's different things that are blocking them, ways that they're stuck. So core creation is the third part of the core encounter. And that's how to really, manifest or bring into existence that which may seem impossible to bring into existence, or maybe you've been trying and just failing, or maybe you don't even know what you really want to manifest and create in your life. So this is a way for you to explore that and get seriously good coaching around how to do that.
Nice. That's so powerful. I like all three of them. The last one is seems like the big ticket item, because it just puts you out there, and so you can expand yourself, expand with others, expand what your gifts are. It's all there. That's right. So cool.
Yeah. And we sell all three as a package. And ideally we would suggest that you do all three, because we find that everybody has some stuckness in each area. Yes. Stuckness with themselves, stuckness with others, stuckness in achieving things. So we work on all of that independently in those groups. We also have the Inner Coaching Academy launching in 2022, where we'll be training coaches on how to do this work. And it's not just a training on how to facilitate these experiences one-to-one or in a group setting. It's both of those, but it's also the business training, and there's done for you business setups like a funnel, marketing tools, advertisement campaigns, and the things that you need as a coach to have clientele coming in and generating a business. Plus, our students, once graduated, will have the opportunity. They'll be licensed to lead our group work. They'll be licensed to get paid with our clients by leading these groups, our core connection, our core creation, core communication groups.
Nice.
That's what we're training them for. So, but they could also operate independently. We want to make sure they're independently successful and, capable of generating their own cash flow, but they also have the opportunity to partner with us and get paid. So we want to build a community of people that are doing it. It's so much more fun to grow together. It's way faster too than trying to do it all on our own, reading self-help books. It doesn't work.
No.
You get a little bit here and there, it can be helpful, but if you really want to speed this process up, you got to get into relationship with people.
Exponential.
That's what we're all about. So
and this work is so absolutely sound. It's powerful. I felt it, so I can say that was the intention. That's why I wanted to do that.
Thank you.
I guess unless there was anything else you wanted to add, I think we're pretty much done with our interview.
Yeah, I'll give links to you that you can put into your post, so we'll know that people, they'll know how to get to where they just click through, or whether it's you're putting this on YouTube or wherever you decide to place this. Just put the links that I give you there, and they'll have access, and we'll know they came from you, and it'll be great to know that. And I hope whoever watched got to do the process, or at least goes back and try it. If they didn't try, if they were just watching it, like, what's going on, actually go back and participate in that experience. And Caroline, I would love to just acknowledge you again, and I am, for what you're doing. What you're about to embark on is a beautiful thing, and you're going to open up a world of opportunity for people with this podcast, and by sharing yourself and allowing other people to share themselves. And you're going to grow. I see that happening, but you're just providing people with so much generosity and opportunity through this journey. So I think it's a true calling, and I'm excited to keep learning more about your adventure.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Everybody, Vince Bolito, get in contact with them, innercoachingacademy.com. I'm Caroline Rena, and thank you for being here on the Ride of My Life podcast. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bless you.